So I just want to come on here quick and tell a quick story about my first encounter, or at least the first encounter that I can remember having with the Akashic records and the concept of the Akashic records. And I'm telling the story from bed because, once again, my post-concussion symptoms are acting up. Just walking like 10 feet makes me feel like I have extreme seasickness, or like I've just come off a merry-go-round. So I was about, I want to say, 7 years old at this time. And by this time in my life, I was already aware that I was communicating with other beings, interdimensional beings, spirits, and that I had been visited by angels. I grew up in a holiday Catholic home. I call it that because we went to church, but only on holidays, or when my parents were going through a stage and wanting to go to church every Sunday, but those phases wouldn't last very long. But I was already familiar with the Christian concept of the afterlife and God and angels. So I knew that these were angels visiting me, and they would come visit me in my dreams. And were teaching me things in my dreams as well. So I was used to angels visiting me. These two angels came in my dream, and it was very vivid. When you get a spirit dream, it feels very real. Like, it's very vivid. You will probably be lucid in the dream as well, or have flashes of lucidity in the dream. So they came in, they said, "We have something to show you." And I was also aware of being able to travel with my consciousness in my dreams as well. And so we were flying. I almost always fly. Every time I'm having a lucid dream, the first thing I want to do is go flying. But anyway, we were flying, and we came to this hallway, this endless hallway, an endless hallway of books, from all the way down from the floor all the way up to the ceiling. But there was actually no floor or ceiling, if that makes sense. It was just like an eternity of books, rows and rows of books. And they said, "You can come here anytime you want." You know, I was a very curious child, like most kids, but I also already at this point had been having very deep philosophical questions and ideas already as a young kid. And so I remember asking them questions. I don't remember everything exactly I asked them, but they did tell me that that there was no end to it, which I couldn't fully comprehend. But now, as an adult, in retrospect, they were explaining that it wasn't it didn't have the same physical characteristics that, a hallway of books in the physical would have. And they told me that the books represented events on Earth and events in my life and the future and the past. And these concepts, blew my mind and, scared me a bit, of course. And that dream always stuck in my mind. And when I got older and I started to read books on spirituality, because I was always interested in the supernatural and ghosts and spirits and religion and philosophy and things like that, I had tons of questions. I believe I was reading Linda Goodman's Star Signs book, which was one of the first books on spirituality that I ever read, and I was like 12 when I read it, and I still have that same copy, and I still go back to it all of the time. But it was my first deep introduction to astrology, numerology, esoteric studies, the nature of reality, that sort of thing. And in it, she talked about the Akashic records, which is basically all of information, all knowledge. So every event, every thought, every action, like in existence, everything is stored in the Akashic records. And when I was reading that, I got the chills. I call it the warm chills, like when you get a jolt from spirit thinking about something and they give you that jolt. It's like they're saying, yes, this is real, pay attention, or this is important, pay attention. And I knew what that dream meant, that they had taken me to the Akashic records and were telling me that I had the ability to access this information, this knowledge from the Akashic records. But I believe we all have abilities. We're just socialized at a young age to ignore them. And some people like me, I've always been fascinated with this and always paid attention to this kind of stuff. So I believe, that's one of the reasons why I'm so advanced in my abilities and what I do. But I do believe it is something that can be taught and a skill that can be honed. And with practice, just like with any other skill on earth, the more that you practice, the better that you will get at that skill, and the more that you will learn over time with your experience. Meditation is one way to hone your spiritual and psychic abilities. Maybe if you work on your own psychic abilities enough, that your guides will take you to the Akashic records as well. It may not happen exactly the way that it did with me. Spiritual encounters can be different with different people. That's the way that my guides chose to show me what the Akashic records was. So it might happen differently with you. But I hope we're all having a great night, and take care, everyone. Bye.